Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to discuss getting approved for the American Express Platinum card. Now the American Express Platinum card is going to be a premium travel credit card that has a lot of benefits and perks that are connected with it. This card has a $695 annual fee, but you end up getting yourself a bunch of different credits that are supposed to equal out to close to $1,500. Most people don't end up getting that much value out of these credits, but usually if you can take advantage of a number of the credits, you can either make the annual fee come down to zero or actually make this card end up being a positive earner from having it. Now, this card ends up giving you 5x back when it comes to flights, 5x back when it comes to booking with Amex Travel, and then also gives you 1x back on all of the purchases. Now, this card is a card that a lot of people want to get approved for because of the allure that comes behind this card. I mean, this card is a metal card, and it's a card that a lot of people like to show off because it ends up having that sound every time you end up dropping it. And it is a very pretty looking card and definitely has some good benefits, but I'm gonna go over what it actually is going to take to get approved for it. And hopefully by the end of the video, you can determine whether or not it makes sense for you to apply for the American Express Platinum card. Now, many of the things I'm going to list to help you get approved for your American Express Platinum card honestly can help you get approved for many other cards as well. So the first thing is going to end up being having a good credit score. Now, American Express, especially for their Platinum card, is going to be looking for people who end up having good or excellent credit scores to end up getting approved for this card. Now, usually you're going to want to have somewhere in the 700s. If you can get to the mid 700s, it's definitely going to be a great place to be at. Now, there are going to be people who have been approved for the Platinum card in the 600s. I believe that actually when they end up saying what considers as good credit to get approved for this card, ends up being somewhere around like 690 credit score. However, if you're trying to get your best odds of approval, you're going to want to have somewhere in the 700s. So I would say if you're going to have somewhere above 730-ish, then I think that you're going to have a decent chance of actually getting approved for this card. Now, if you happen to have a lower credit score, one way to help improve your credit score quick would end up being paying off any type of debts you have. Now, I typically wouldn't even recommend to apply for a card if you end up having any debts in the first place, but sometimes people can apply for cards that they end up having debt with another card because they end up having a 0 APR bonus that they're taking advantage of. So if it ends up being something like that, then what I would say to do is pay off that debt, and then as soon as you get that debt down, you should end up seeing your credit score jump up due to utilization being dropped down. And then when that ends up happening, if you end up getting yourself in the 700s, then you can end up looking at applying for the American Express Platinum card. The next thing you're going to need to do to get approved for an American Express Platinum card is be a high earner. Now, American Express is known for looking for high earners for their cards. And the reason for this is because American Express, when it comes to their charge cards, isn't looking to try to get money off you for your late fees, because American Express charge cards are supposed to be paid off in full every single month. Now, they did add in the pay over time feature, which kind of turns into credit cards instead of charge cards, but normally these are supposed to be paid in full each month. Now, if these cards are supposed to be paid in full each month, then what American Express is going to be making the vast majority of their money off of is going to be those interchange fees. So what they want is they want people who are high earners and high spenders with their cards. Now, I read from the travel blog View from the Wing that American Express says that the American Express Platinum card holders on average have an income of $474,000 a year and have a net worth of $4.3 million. And also they're 56 years old. And then Centurion card holders have an average reported net worth of $11.4 million, average earnings income per year of $1.8 million, and then are 57 years old. Now, I do not meet any of the criteria of being an average American Express Platinum card holder. But what you can see what American Express has done is that they've gotten a lot of people who have a lot of earnings to get their Platinum cards. Now, here's the thing. This is the average and for what people list. So if you end up grabbing someone who is a multi-millionaire and also someone who ends up making $75,000 a year, and you end up doing the average of that, it ends up being multiple millions of dollars. So that's the reason why the average can end up seeming a little skewed. So don't think you end up having to make $400,000 a year to end up getting approved for the American Express Platinum card. I know personally people who've gotten approved for the American Express Platinum card who put down that they end up making $70,000 a year. Now, I've even read data points where someone put down that they only made $40,000 a year and were able to get approved for the American Express Platinum card. Now, I don't think that's going to be the norm, but I do think that it is possible. So if you're someone who's actually trying to get approved, just know that they are going to be looking for higher earners, but you don't have to put in some outrageous number to actually end up getting approved. One thing to know is that American Express, when it ends up coming to what you end up putting on your application, they're not really going to look into what you're putting. Now, I'm not advocating that you end up writing in a lie of how much you end up making, but unless you end up putting something that is outrageous compared to your area, typically they're not going to ask for more information. So if you end up living in Santa Monica, California, and you write in that you only end up making somewhere around the lines of like $80,000, that's not very high for this area as compared to somewhere in like East Kentucky. If you end up putting that you make, $150,000, then they might have more questions how you're able to make that. Now, I'm not saying that $80,000 isn't a lot of money. I know that for some people it can be. If you end up actually looking at the average income in America, it ends up being around like $60,000 or $70,000 for a family. So it all really comes down to where you end up living, and that's really what American Express is looking for. So if you end up living in a place that ends up making a lot of money, if you end up putting that you end up making near the average, American Express is not going to be checking to see if you're making that amount. But just know that to get approved for American Express cards, the biggest factor is going to end up being your credit score and how much money you end up making. Banks are all trying to calculate risk. So if you're someone who ends up making a lot of money, the bank feels that they have better odds of you paying them back if you end up getting a debt. The next thing that I would say that help you get approved for an American Express Platinum card would be to already have an American Express card. To show that you're already responsible with making on-time payments and paying American Express back will improve your chances of actually getting approved for an American Express Platinum card. Many banks are good about approving people who are already clients with that bank. So if you happen to already have a Blue Cash Everyday card or an American Express Gold card, then this will end up improving your chances of actually end up getting approved for an American Express Platinum card. Now to counter that, say you happen to have no credit cards at all, you're 19 years old, and you happen to get yourself a credit score due to the fact of paying back a loan for a car, then I wouldn't recommend applying for the American Express Platinum card. So I would say wait until you end up at least graduating for college before you end up applying for this card. But those are going to be the main ways to get yourself approved for the American Express Platinum card. So let's recap this. You're going to want to have a decent credit score somewhere in there about the 700s. You're going to want to have a income that's going to be somewhere above 70,000 is going to give you a better chance of actually getting approved. You're going to want to have a relationship with American Express. I think it's going to give you better odds. And then you're not going to want to have any type of debts with any other banks. If you end up following these things, then I think that your chances of getting approved for an American Express Platinum card are actually pretty good. The thing about the American Express Platinum card is that this card is not invitation only. You can get approved for this card. Average people do get approved for this card. A lot of people think that only ballers and high earners end up getting this card, but that's not the case. There are regular people who end up getting this card, and you can actually get this card if you can end up just following the different things that I said in this video. Now, also understand why you actually want to have this card, because some people, as I said early in this video, just want to have this card because it's a cool looking card and because it ends up having this prestige behind it. But just know that this card ends up having prestige that's going to cost you $700 a year if you end up actually having this card. So if you only end up actually having this card and using this card everywhere, but honestly, I don't think this card's gonna end up being the most beneficial for you in your wallet, because I think you can end up getting other cards and end up giving you way better potential of earnings as compared to the American Express Platinum card. But if you actually can see this card is going to give you good earnings, and then you also can actually take advantage of the different credits with this card, then I would say definitely look at getting yourself the American Express Platinum card, because it can end up being a great card to help really improve your travel benefits and experience. This card makes sense for frequent travelers and people who spend a lot of money on airlines. Now, if you are someone who actually is going to be in that category, this card can end up making a lot of sense for you, and this card can end up being an awesome card to add to your wallet. Now, if you happen to be interested in the American Express Platinum card, I will have referral links down below, and if you decide to use it, it will help out the channel. I'll be very thankful for your support. Ever since I've gotten it, it has highly improved my travel experience, and I definitely would recommend it to anyone who could take advantage of the perks and benefits that connect to this card. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you do happen to have any questions, drop them down in the comment section down below and do the best I can to answer them. If you happen to really like this video, then please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and have a beautiful rest of your day. Peace.